Rob and Slim Show.
Hey, it's Isaac Thorne. How are you guys?
All right.
How
What's
you doing,
going on,
Isaac?
Great.
You are a horror author from Tennessee, correct?
I am, yes.
Nice.
Yes, horror author from Tennessee. Are we back already? I know you guys were on
Yeah,
break.
We're
back.
on now. We're right out of the cannon.
As a horror author,
awesome.
do you write your own work or do you steal from people?
Well, I thought about hiring Michael Nemeth. Decided I'd rather try my own hand at it.
Now, I checked out one of your stories, Bedside Manor, last night. I read a little of the first chapter. It was great, dude. I liked it.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much. That's the latest one. That's the latest one released anyway. I've got another one coming out in October called Diggum, Diggum.
Like the frog from Kellogg's?
Well, I spelled it differently. It's not about frogs.
I love that
it's about
frog.
a grape
I love in The Family Guy when Mayor West spent all the town's money on a golden statue of Diggum.
I still like the one where he sent the police force to save the lady from Romancing the Stone. That was my favorite Mayor West one.
I love the Mayor
My
West
favorite's when
character.
he's like, I planted sausage seeds and no one said they would grow. I'm laughing now.
I do have to thank you too, Isaac, because you've been checking our show out for, I'd say, at least a month now.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I mean, you messaged me a while back, and I had watched the Bleeding Critic interview, a while before that, and I checked out different segments here and there. But then I listen to the entire show every week. It's a great show, and
Thank you.
glad to be on it.
Thank you, dude.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I like that you interact with some of the guests, like Elroy Aiken from a few weeks ago. Like you complimented him on the read. That was cool. Yeah, so thank you so much, dude.
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, that actually ended up with me buying a copy of one of his books too. I was impressed.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, it was
with
a
that
really
book.
cool concept.
Yeah. How long have you been writing for, Isaac?
Oh, since forever. I mean, I've been writing since I was a little kid, but I've only been releasing what I'm writing since probably about 2012. I think was when Nobody Was Here came out. It was either 2012 or 2013. I don't remember. But I've got drawers full of stuff that isn't out there.
Are you ever gonna release any of that, or like rework that stuff?
It'll probably end up being reworked somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And turned out then, but I'm sure even then there'll be stuff that I'm like, I can't believe I wrote that. I'm not putting that out for anybody to read. It'll end up on my tombstone.
I did like in your bio, it said the first thing you wrote at 6 years old, you said you remember it was about how everyone should wear overalls.
It was. It was an essay about overalls and why everyone should wear them, and the reason was mainly easy access.
I was saying a week ago that Slim's never wore shorts, and before I read that, like a day before, I was thinking Slim should wear the short overalls.
The short
Like,
overalls,
that'd be a good look for him.
For our premiere of season 3,
Yeah.
that's what I will wear. Short. So now, do you primarily write short stories?
Yes, mainly.
Okay.
I've started a couple of different novels, and I've got ideas for novels, but I get started on them, and I'm kind of then I get distracted by like another idea for a short, and because a short story will just naturally takes me less time to write, so so it's easier to get out of my head and get out the door than the novel. I've got one novel that I really, really, really want to finish, and I wrote one chapter on it like 6 months ago and haven't touched it since. So.
I would think they're both like very different skill sets too, writing a novel and a short story. So like you stick to just writing short stories, you're going to get really, really good at being a short story author, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's well, and I used to look at a novel sort of a connection of related short stories, because you have the chapters and you have, the events or revelations in each chapter. But when you go back and read the novels that the big names have written, it's kind of like that, but not really. There are subplots and different arcs, and it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know if you've ever read John Dies at the End by David Wong. That's what he did. He had written like it as a web series, like a bit of short web series first, and then eventually just put it together in a novel. And it was good, it was good, but it was like all over the place and wasn't really coherent as like a novel.
Right.
Oh.
Now, what is your biggest? I'm sorry, Isaac. What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, what are your biggest influences in your writing? Like.
Well, I can't talk about that without bringing up Stephen King.
Okay.
Because he, and people always assume that if you write horror, you want to be the next Stephen King. That's the phrase they always come up with. You want to be the next Stephen King. I don't want to be Stephen King.
I wouldn't want to be Stephen King either. Like, he's just too much time on the little details. I don't care about this guy's father's grandfather that has nothing to do with the story. like I loved.
And don't get me wrong. I love Stephen King's work, but I can't read Under the Dome. I've tried. I can't. It's like 5,000 pages, and
Yep. The only thing I read by him was it, and that was just a struggle. Like, I loved the book, but it was a struggle. It was really, really hard to get through, man.
What was it like reading like Greek mythology or something, where it's just like hard?
And there was just like
pause and everything.
Yeah, and it was just so much shit that didn't have anything to do with what was going on. Like just little things that he would be talking about.
Or if it does have something to do with it, it's so tangential that you can't put it together, or you need an index,
right,
or a walkthrough or a cheat sheet or something.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoy Clive Barker. Me and people for fans of Clive Barker. Like he's great.
Nice.
Hellbound Heart was amazing, and
that's a fucked up book. Like the movie was pretty screwed up. Like I love the movie. But the book is even more like
I still
crazy.
have to read the book.
The
actually,
way
to
the
be
book
honest.
goes, it's so much detail.
Yeah.
Like it even like goes in like when Frank comes back into Earth, he's like it goes like what's going through his head and everything.
Have you thought of doing that, of releasing your short stories in a book? Like I know Clive Barker did that, where he had Books of Blood, and it was like Books of Blood 1, 2, and 3, and it was a compilation of short stories.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm planning something like that for next year. Hopefully, as soon as I have everything together the way I want it. I kind of want to do like a themed collection, where it's not just a collection of stuff I put out, but it's a collection of things that they're not related, but they have something in common.
Right.
A lot of my stories take place either during a road trip or start with a road trip or something like that. Okay. And there's a part of me that wants to do a collection of stories related to that.
What did you say? It was a low trip?
A road trip.
Road trip, right? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm a retard. I apologize. A road trip. That's actually really cool. I was curious.
Is cool.
So now, are your stories like supernatural, or is it like slasher type? Like what do you like to write?
That's a good question. I write both, but the majority of my work leans toward more everyday, realistic, claustrophobic type stuff. Now, the most recent two stories both have supernatural elements in them. Bedside Manor is a ghost story. Diggum it has a supernatural element to it.
Okay.
But before that, Dislike is a social media horror story. The entire thing.
I saw that one. That seemed cool. Like,
that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And
so there's no ghosts or monsters there. It's just people interacting with each other, and things go wrong.
What was Hoppers about? Because the picture of that one is like these demonic rabbits. It looked crazy.
that actually does have. I hadn't thought of that, but it does have a supernatural element to it because it's the simplest 2 words to describe it are zombie bunnies.
Zombie bunnies.
Zombie bunnies.
Bunnies.
And that is my most downloaded title.
Nice.
Apparently, like zombie bunnies.
Yeah.
That does remind me. There's a B movie called Zombievers about zombie beavers.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
I
also a
haven't
wild
seen
movie.
it yet, but I desperately want to. I want to see Zombievers. I kind of wanted to. There was a. I think it was a '70s movie about giant rabbits.
Yeah, Night of the Lepus or something.
Night of the Lepus.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I kind of wanted to redeem rabbits for the monsters that they can be. You know,
They are assholes.
Dude, they
I had
are.
one as a kid, and it would bite
Dude,
my finger and not let go.
My dad used to raise them, and they used to we would find ones that were torn apart from the other males. We'd find the mothers would chew the babies up and throw
And
them.
we had them in our science class, and the ones they were mating, and I didn't realize that afterwards the dude's junk was all bloody and stuff. Like, I don't know what happened there. I was like, it was disgusting. Like, it was weird. It was very...
I don't feel bad for them when you see like a hawk or something.
You gotta cheer.
Yeah,
They are adorable, though. They're
do
adorable.
worse things to each other.
How many titles do you have right now, Isaac?
Counting the one I'm releasing this fall, I believe that's 7. And you know they're all short stories. Cool. So I think that's right. If I count them up in my head real quick, I believe there are 7. Yeah.
And which one took you the longest to write?
Oh wow. That would have been actually the shortest of the bunch. That would have been Dislike.
Wow.
Because there's a lot of, and it's not just the formatting, but there was a lot of me trying to get in. It involves so many different characters because it's a social media set story. There was a lot of me trying to get into these other people's heads to kind of figure out, you know, well, how would this person on this side of the internet react, you know, to seeing this on their timeline. So that one was probably the most difficult, even though it's like 3,500 words, I think, maximum. Yeah. And so it's about half of my average story length. But because of the formatting and everything, it takes up more pages. But yeah, I'd have to say that was the most difficult one.
Awesome. Wow. All right, I have 2 questions. One is, which story have you written are you most proud of? And then after that, the other side of that, is there anything that you have released that you wish you can just delete from the world?
I would say that the story that I'm most proud of right now is the one that hasn't been released yet. But before that, Because Reasons. That one I think is kind of unique among psychopath stories, just because of the circumstances, and the villain is a young woman who has no real reason to be a villain. A lot of times we tend to give villains an out, like the new Halloween movie, for example, goes into or newer Halloween movie goes into Michael Myers' backstory, and makes him sympathetic, and that bothered me. It completely bothered me. So I wanted a female killer who had no reason to be a killer at all. You know, she just decided she was bored and went out and started killing people. So.
I thought that's how it always was.
Yeah,
I
imagine that's how it actually happens. That's cool. I do like that. I like when villains are portrayed like that, because that's how they should be portrayed. It was actually I don't know if you're a comic book guy or anything, but I just watched season 2 of The Flash on the CW, and the villain they did for that was great. Like, they gave him a little bit of a backstory where it's like, oh well, his father killed his mother in front of his eyes, but other than that, he was just a serial killer that wanted to kill people. Right. And it wasn't like
there was one in Full Metal Alchemist. He was a butcher, and he just realized
Barry the Chopper.
Yes, he could slice through the meat. He just wanted to do it to a person.
Yeah.
And his wife pissed him off one day. That's the sickest.
And then they bound his soul to the armor and had him guard the laboratory.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah, I remember.
Yes. What is the theater troupe you work with, Isaac?
Oh, that is Carmen Theater Online, and I'm not actually technically a part of the group. I've contributed because reasons to it, and they're a really great group of people, and they're genuinely interested in reviving the old style radio play, you know.
Okay.
And I thought that was fascinating. So, you know, Leanne Moonraven contacted me and asked if she could use one of my stories.
Oh wow!
As a, you know, if she could adapt, it, or if I could adapt it. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit. And I was like, sure, I've got one that's, you know, first person point of view coming out soon. That's perfect for that format, and that became the audio version of Because Reasons.
Cool.
All right, and now, to go back to my second question, anything you released that you just want to go away?
Actually, I don't have any that I want to go away. I have one that I'm pridefully ashamed of, and that is my first one. That's Nobody Was Here, because the entire thing, you know, takes place in a fast food restaurant's bathroom. And was actually, the idea for that one was sparked by an actual road trip event from my life. That is not what, you know, in reality, when you if you read the story, what happens in there is not what happened in reality, but was inspired by reality.
Is it like King Jellybean from Rick and Morty?
So the story is like basically what I wish I could have done.
Okay.
You know?
Wow.
That's cool.
That's cool. What would you be able to read us an excerpt from one of your books?
Yeah, let's see. I was actually thinking about reading the first couple of pages of Diggum, if you guys don't mind hearing something completely new and unfiltered.
Not at all.
All right. This is another one that is first person, which seems to kind of be my thing lately when I'm writing stories. So this is the first couple of pages of Diggum. My Christian name's not Diggum, but that's what most folks around here call me. Doubt anybody remembers the man I used to be. You ask them who that old stooped-over fella is moping around the cemetery, that's what they'll tell you. That's Diggum, they'll say. He's the caretaker. Most of them don't know much more than that. Not anymore. Hell, it's a wonder anybody ever notices me at all anymore. If they're not flying by me at 90 miles an hour on the highway, then they have their faces buried in those glowing little smarty pants phones they all carry around now. If they happen to be driving while they're looking at them things, well, I reckon I'll be the one burying their faces before too long. I'd be burying their faces if there was room left in this old boneyard to do that anyway. See, this is an old cemetery, and there ain't one plot in it without a marker now. That one's mine. I claimed it back when I first got this gig, and, I guess it's been about 40 years. There was a whole lot more community around here and a whole lot fewer wrinkles on this old face back in them days, sure enough. There was work when a man needed it, too, and boy, did I need it. It wasn't then like it is now, where everybody's got to have a job with some adventure or upward mobility or lifestyle accommodation in it, or however the youngins are putting it these days. It ain't enough anymore for them to find a way to make ends meet. They got to be excited about what they're doing. What's that word they use? Fulfilling. That's it. It's got to be fulfilling work. Back in my day, you just wanted to find some way to keep food on your table and put clothes on your back, shoes on your feet. Well, that's the way it was down here in the little town of Lost Hollow anyway. I guess up in bigger cities, they cared about upward mobility. It was the Reagan era, after all. Around here, it was mostly all small farmers and people who commuted to their factory jobs one town over. Ends meeting is exactly what I was looking for when I strolled into this little town back then. Sure enough, lost my wife, my kid, everything I had in a fire on this little farm I had just west of here. Didn't have no fancy insurance on any of that. Wasn't going back there and rebuilding either. Not there. Not where my wife and kid had burned themselves to death while I was out plowing the field. Fat lot of good it did me plowing that field. I was just doing what my daddy taught me to do, was his farm before it was mine. But by 1984, that didn't matter too much. Everybody was getting their produce from the grocery stores who got their stuff from the big industrial farms. Nobody gave a shit about their locally grown stuff anymore. Took some doing, but I eventually sold the whole lot back to the bank. Sure enough. I reckon they were able to turn it around eventually. Probably turned it into a strip mall or something by now. Meanwhile, I just tied up my bindle and took off down the road. Turns out the first help wanted sign I saw was this county job digging graves in this cemetery. I reckoned back then that somebody somewhere is always going to need to be buried, and I still had all the calluses on my hands and grit under my fingernails that was proof enough that I knew my way around the dirt. So I applied right then and there. They pretty much hired me then and there too. Sure enough, I've been digging holes and filling them in ever since. Now, you might think a man would get creeped out by taking on a job like this. Not me, though. I've seen my wife and my boy both lying there in the ashes of that old house, charred, black, and flaking apart like the newspaper my daddy used to use to start the kindling burning in the old fireplace. I seen all that, and I think I cried my last tears right then and there. They was both too burned up to even put them in a casket. Practically cremated they was, sure enough. You know what the old-timers always say about that, right? There ain't no body in the ground that can't be raised up again come judgment time. Neither one of them deserved that fate. Haven't wept for a soul since them days. Never since. Because if a god whose best two creatures got turned to ashes by a stupid accident can't see fit to bring him back around when the roll is called up yonder, why should I bother to give a damn about anybody at all? I can see it in your face. You think I resent what God did to me. Yeah, you damn right I do. Damn right. He's got no business taking those two darlings out of this world and not letting them into the next one. God's plan, the old preacher man will tell you. God's meanness is what I think.
Wow.
Cool, man.
Thank you. That was amazing.
And you
Thank
can
you very
literally
much.
picture this like withered, old,
Yeah.
like dude, like this Appalachian looking dude with the missing his teeth and everything. That's what I'm picturing, like with the
fantastic,
shovel
yeah.
and everything. Friggin' lantern.
Wow. That's great.
Well, that's the beginning of Diggum.
That was some Diggum.
Coming out in October.
Cool,
Cool,
dude.
man.
Definitely want to check that out. Where can everybody find your books, Isaac? I know I saw them on Amazon. I didn't know. Are they also on isaacthorne.com?
You can go to isaacthorne.com. You can buy them there directly, or you can find links to, if you use a Kindle or a Nook or whatever, you can find the links to those places there as well.
Cool. And I want to say it's Thorne with an E. Thorne.
That's correct. Yeah. My name, can be Isaac means he who laughs, and Thorne means thorn. So my parents loosely translated named me Laughing Prick.
That's what I call our intern here.
It's Thorne with an E.
That's cool. Thank you so much for talking to us, Isaac.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it, and
thanks for listening.
If Slambo ever gives up his internship there, I want in.
We'll let you know you can work under him. He needs a new underling.
Oh, okay. All right, he's executive intern now.
The Moon Master didn't work out too well.
He went out for what, wings? Or what did he go out for?
I think it was wings.
Wings and never came back.
So that's it.
He's been some great wings then.
I hope so. I hope so.
He's in a better place. God rest his soul. Thanks again, Isaac.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
No problem. Have a good one.
Take care, Isaac.
You too.